podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Now entering the PNRNetworks arena, coming down the aisle from Revere, Massachusetts, weighing in at absolutely none of your business. It's the mistress of mayhem, the queen of quips. It's time for Ring Around the Rosie with your hostess, Kim Brown.
Hey everybody, welcome to another week here on Ring Around the Rosie. I'm your hostess, Kim Brown, aka Platinum Rose Lady, coming to you on Wednesday, March 6th, 2019. I hope everybody's having a good week so far. We got a little snow up here on Monday. Actually, we got a lot of snow on Monday. Actually, we got 15 inches of snow on Monday, and that was a little bit nuts. It's been a little bit less snowy the last couple of days, which is nice, but it's also been really, really cold. Super duper cold tonight, super duper cold and windy, so I'm glad I'm inside in front of a microphone talking to you. I hope everyone who is of the Catholic faith has had a decent Ash Wednesday, and that your time of fasting has gone well for you, and I hope you're not stressing about anything like that. So let's talk about what's coming up this weekend. This weekend is WWE Fastlane, which they are obviously hyping the heck out of for a lot of different reasons. So let's go over the cards super quick, and I'm going to give my, discussing my little opinions about things. I'd love to hear your opinions about the upcoming show. If you have any that you'd like to send my way, platinumroselle@yahoo.com. A match that was announced yesterday, added to the card, was Rey Mysterio versus Andrade. So that's going to be part of the card as well, because he's just Andrade now. They dropped the CN for some reason. I don't know why, but they did. Also on the card is the WWE Tag Team Championship for the Raw brand. So it is a three-way dance. I wish they still called them that. I missed that. With the Tag Team Champions, The Revival, going against Aleister Black and Ricochet, and also going against the team of Chad Gable and Bobby Roode, the former Raw Tag Team Champions. I still don't know what to call this team. I really don't. Not everybody needs a super catchy name. I understand that, but I'm like, Groot doesn't work. It's just, it's too close to Groot. And, I wouldn't want to insult Groot. No, sorry, that wasn't nice. And Grable doesn't really work either, because Grable makes me think of Clark Gable. I don't know why, but anyway. This should be a really interesting match. I mean, the whole thing with the Revival is their whole thing being, we're real wrestlers and we don't do all the flippy crap that other people do and stuff like that, which I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. Nobody said you had to, but it'll be a great match. Cause Aleister Black, scary looking as he is, and I mean that in the nicest possible way, I guess I really should have thought about that statement better. He's an extremely intimidating looking guy. And Ricochet, awesome wrestler, looking less scary than Aleister Black, to be perfectly frank. But they're a great team, and obviously Chad and Bobby do really good work together. So this is going to be a really super cool match. Me personally, think that the winners I think we're going to have a bit of the guys from NXT, I think, are going to make a big impression, and I think the belts are going to be changing hands here and heading over to Aleister and Ricochet. We'll have to wait and see if I'm right. The Women's Tag Team Championship, also from Raw, will be going on the line with Team Boss Hug Boss. I don't know. They got to come up with something for this. Bahas, that's terrible. The tag team champions Bayley and Sasha Banks are going against Nia Jax and Tamina, who are obviously the challengers for the belt, and I don't know what to call them either as a team. I mean, I could think of a few things. They're all really mean, and so I'm not going to use them. I really need to come up with, like, they should really have an intimidating name. They should, like, give them an intimidating name so that, actually, you know, the Iron Maidens, that would be kind of cool. Think about it, WWE. If anybody's listening, the Iron Maidens as the team for Nia Jax and Tamina, I like that, you know. You guys want to use it? Be my guest. I do want to cut. The SmackDown Women's Champion, Asuka, we're not worthy, is going against Mandy Rose. Real quick, jumping back to the women's match, I see Bayley and Sasha keeping the belts. SmackDown Championship between Asuka and Mandy Rose. I hope Asuka wins. I also hope that Asuka kicks the living heck out of Mandy Rose. And I hope Naomi comes up and kicks the crap out of Mandy Rose some more after the match is done. I have this uncomfortable feeling that Asuka's going to get robbed of her belt because Mandy Rose cheats like crazy. Following that, we have what I never thought we'd see again, and I'm so happy I'm happy we're seeing it, and I'm also like, oh, good grief, please don't let this go horribly, horribly wrong. The reuniting of the Shield, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and the returning to the fold, Dean Ambrose, because this heel turn just really didn't work. They are going against Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, and Baron Corbin. I want the Shield to win this. If the Shield doesn't win this, I am going to completely freak out. I also would really, really, really like Baron Corbin to be driven through a table, preferably a table that's on fire over a pan of thumbtacks. But as Mick Jagger said once, you can't always get what you want. But I will just be happy if the Shield win. And I will also be happy if... the reason I'm saying I'm super excited for this and I want it to be awesome is that I don't want Dean to mess them over. And I don't want Roman and Seth to turn on Dean. And I also want Dean to grow his hair out. There, I said it. I'm shallow. I know. I'm a shallow, shallow woman. I know. I have needs. Don't judge me. The next match that is supposed to be on the card is Becky Lynch going against Charlotte Flair, because after all of the insanity over the last couple of weeks and the fact that Becky Lynch has redefined the word perseverance, Stephanie McMahon has reinstated Becky, but she had to sign a waiver basically saying that if she gets crippled for good, then she can't hold it against the WWE and sue them and all that. Becky is going against Charlotte Flair. If Becky loses this match, Stephanie says she is done. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what done means. I don't know if done means fired, if done means she has to go home and completely recuperate before she comes back. Done is a little bit, I'm sorry, I'd like some details. I'd like that explained to me. Let's assume for a minute I'm stupid, okay? But if Becky wins this match, she is included in the WrestleMania match between Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Tag Team, so the Raw Women's Championship. I wonder what's going to happen. Well, was that a little too sarcastic? Is it a little early in the show for that much sarcasm? It might have been. Sorry. Yeah, I think Becky's winning this. I don't know if she's going to win it by, a pinfall or submission. She might win by a disqualification. I definitely think this is going to be a big old mess. I can definitely see a lot of interference from Ronda Rousey. We'll get to that in a minute. And of course, Charlotte's going to cheat like crazy because Becky Lynch is apparently a face again because, good grief, that was the worst heel turn ever. I mean, I'm sorry. And that is not a slam on Becky. I am not slamming on Becky here because I'm kind of scared of Becky. No, sorry. But the thing is, they tried so hard to turn Becky heel, and the crowd went, nope, we're not doing it. I mean, they had her attack a ton of people. They had her talk down to the crowd. They had her do everything but punt a puppy into the audience, and people were still going, yay. I mean, I think Becky could have punted a puppy into the audience, and some of these fans would have been like, yay, the puppy had it coming. I am not advocating animal abuse before anybody gets angry at me and before PETA sends me hate mail. But I just think it's hilarious that they tried. It's really weird because, and I realize this is kind of showing my age a little bit, but it just seems to me like, before, back in the day, however you want to word it, when people turned heel, there was actually usually kind of even a physical change with them. Somebody would cut their hair. Somebody would grow a beard. Obviously, that's not something Becky's going to be able to do. But they would change their style of clothing. They would make a physical change. Becky's still out there, flaming red hair, same outfits as always, except for the whole The Man t-shirt, which I don't get it. I mean, I do get it. It's the whole, to be the man, you gotta beat the man thing, but I'm sorry. Speaking as a woman, I'm like, I still think calling yourself a man is a step down. If you want to be a superior life form, I guess you'd have to call yourself the cat, but we already had that. So, moving forward. The SmackDown Tag Team Championship will be on the line as well, with the champions, the Usos, Jimmy and Jey Uso, going against Shane McMahon and The Miz, aka the world's greatest tag team. Man, I almost said that with a straight face. I almost got it out. I think that this is, I actually, crazily enough, I think that the team of Shane and The Miz is falling apart at this show, or at least the cracks are going to happen. I see the Usos keeping the belts, and I see Shane and The Miz. If the team doesn't completely fall apart, I see the cracks starting. But, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I have no inside information. This is just all my opinion for what it's worth. The WWE champion Daniel Bryan will be going against Kevin Owens, and I cannot believe the next thing I'm going to say. I want Kevin Owens to win. Oh, good grief, that felt weird. Oh man, that felt wrong coming out of my mouth. Wow. Because Daniel Bryan's character is so flippin' obnoxious that they've managed to turn Kevin Owens heel by default, which is just cracking me up to no end. I mean, I realize at some point or another, I'm sure Kevin performed as a face. I don't know where or when, but he's so enjoyable as a heel. He's just very good at it. But Daniel Bryan, holy cow, and yes, I use that term just to be annoying. Hi, Daniel. It really cracks me up that, unlike the whole situation with both Dean Ambrose and Becky Lynch, where, the WWE was like, we're turning Daniel Bryan heel, and the fans didn't go, nope. The fans not only didn't go nope, they held on with both hands. I mean, some people still cheer him, which I'm like, all right, you've got somebody basically telling you you suck, and you're all like, yeah, yay, we suck. Seek help. If you're one of those people, seek help, because you have some issues, my friend. But I'm sorry, Daniel Bryan as this sanctimonious, holier-than-thou son of a... I'm trying to give up cursing for Lent, so I'm going to not use the word I was going to use. Oh gosh, he annoys me. By the white tree of Gondor, he annoys me. I don't see Kevin Owens winning the belt because I don't see him getting beaten cleanly because Daniel Bryan's got that 7-foot goofball, Rowan with him, as his dancing partner, cheerleader, however you want to word, ugliest cheerleader ever. So that's what we've got on the show, and we're probably going to have a lot of other things going on as well. Fastlane is this Sunday, March 10th. And I hope everybody will watch. And I would love to know your predictions about the show. If you'd like to send them along to me, platinumroselle@yahoo.com. I'd love to hear from anybody about their opinions about Fastlane, about WrestleMania, which is, coming up a month after that. And anything else you have opinions about, I'd love to hear them. Okay, now we have to talk about the fact that obviously the other big thing that happened on Raw this week was Ronda Rousey turning heel. Now, I have to be perfectly honest and say, I haven't seen a lot of Ronda's work in UFC. I know it exists, I just haven't seen it. I spoke with someone at my job who is a wrestling fan as well, and very educated guy about wrestling, and he was saying how he didn't understand why when the WWE first brought Ronda in, they pushed her as this uber baby face, because in UFC she's a real trash talker and stuff like that, and he feels like it would have made more sense to push her as a heel. And I can understand where he's coming from. I'm sure the people who followed Ronda from the UFC to the WWE, if they were fans of the Ronda in the UFC, were probably a little bit like, what the frog, when she showed up in WWE and she was all super smiley, excited, babyface Ronda. I have to be honest, I am disappointed they turned her heel. I understand why they turned her heel, because several crowds were acting like complete, utter jerks. I don't know how else to word it. I mean, the woman's out there busting her behind and doing a dang good job of wrestling, of being in the ring. And you have a lot of people that just were being extremely rude. Now, I'll be the first to admit her mic work isn't the best, but you only get better when you practice, and you can't really practice promos. You have to just go out there and do them and wing it and do the best you can. I mean, you can learn your lines, you can have your lines right and stuff like that, but there's a question of when you get out there and you have to feed off the crowd and you have to get emotion into it, and you can't do that practicing in front of a mirror, But I don't know. Maybe she'll really work well as a heel. I'll be very interested to see if all of the people who booed her when she was a face will now be, if these are all the heel poppers, if they're still going to be booing her now that they're supposed to be booing her, or if they're strictly going to be contrary about it. Because some fans can be like that. You know who you are. So, kind of shorter show this week, but I have some other stuff that I'd like to talk about that, this isn't the fun part. This is the sad part. And, cause it's never fun to say goodbye. It's never fun to say so long from this plane of existence to somebody. And we hope wherever they go from this plane of existence, we hope that they're going to someplace good. King Kong Bundy passed away on March 4th, and, Bundy, whose real name was Christopher Palise, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, I'm sorry. He was 63 years old and was one of the best monster heels back in the mid-'80s. I wasn't watching in the very early 80s, which is when he really got started in wrestling. He was trained by Larry Sharp in New Jersey at the Monster Factory, and he worked a little bit in the World Wrestling Federation under a different name, under the name Chris Kanyon, not the other Chris Kanyon. And in the after he started in the very early 80s, 81, by the next year he'd gone to Texas where he was working for World Class. And he started off under the name Big Daddy Bundy. The Big Daddy part was from, that was based on another wrestler, a British wrestler named Shirley Crabtree, and he was called Big Daddy Crabtree because he was a, big guy. Bundy would eventually turn heel and be managed by Gary Hart, and he was known as King Kong Bundy because of his size. And he wrestled in both in the Texas area. He also wrestled for the AWA and the NWA. He came to prominence working in the WWF, working as, like I mentioned, a monster heel. And his whole thing was because he was, such a large man. He was 6'4". He was almost 500 pounds. He was this big, scary dude. And his whole thing was that when he would pin somebody, he was so, his whole thing was he was so rough and mean that when he would usually pin somebody after like a squash or something like that, or, a splash, that he would demand that the referee, instead of counting to 3, he would demand that the referee would count to 5, just to show that he, had just beat the holy living frog snot out of some poor guy. His match at the first WrestleMania, which was held in Madison Square Garden, was against S.D. Jones, also known as Special Delivery Jones, and the match was announced that it was 9 seconds long, and it actually worked out to 17 seconds, but still, that's ridiculous. As far as, trivia and things like that, it was the shortest WrestleMania match because they did keep it, they, said it was 9 seconds. But that record actually got overturned in 2008. Kane wound up beating Chavo Guerrero Jr. in 8 seconds, and that's a legitimate 8 seconds at WrestleMania 24. At this time in his career, Bundy was managed by Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart. In September of 1985, Hart traded Bundy to be managed by Bobby the Brain Heenan. The exchange that Hart got for Bundy was Adrian Adonis and the Missing Link. Considering the size of Bundy, trading him for 2 people, that seems pretty, that makes sense to me. Bundy wound up in a feud with another huge man, which makes sense, the late great Andre the Giant. And I remember this happening when they showed it on TV, that he allegedly, one of the fights that he got into with Andre, he kayfabe broke Andre's sternum. And it was, it was a big deal. This was, nobody ever put Andre down, and then here comes this guy, and he was able to do it. He teamed up with another big man, Big John Studd, and also feuded with Hulk Hogan. He was in the WrestleMania 2, which was the WrestleMania 2 gimmick that year was WrestleMania was held in 3 different cities. And he was in a cage match in Los Angeles against Hulk Hogan and did not win the belt. He had a lot of other feuds with a lot of other, people, and was involved with, usually, his feuds were usually with big men because, let's face it, it's no fun watching a big guy squash a little guy over and over and over again. It just was more interesting watching him feud with, larger guys. The match that he was in WrestleMania 3 was a mixed match, but not mixed in the usual way we say mixed tag team match. People usually think they're talking about like men and women. He was the large-sized man working with 2 midget wrestlers, Lord Littlebrook and Little Tokyo, and he and those two gentlemen faced the team of Hillbilly Jim and the Haiti Kid and Little Beaver. Bundy continued to work through the 80s into the 90s. He came back. He retired for a little while in 94, came back not after long after announcing his retirement, and was part of the $1 Million Corporation, Ted DiBiase's heel stable in 94 and 95. And from 95 to 2007, he was doing mostly independent work. And continued wrestling until he retired from wrestling in May of 2007. He was also an actor. He appeared in several TV shows, some movies, did a commercial for a personal computer back when personal computers were still a big thing. You know, it wasn't every house had a personal computer back in 1986. He appeared on the show Married with Children, which made sense because the main characters of the show, the hapless Bundy family, actually turned out that they had named the family the Bundys because they were paying, the writers were paying homage to him. He wound up playing the character of Uncle Irwin, who was Peggy Bundy's brother. He also appeared on the show as himself, as King Kong Bundy, showing Bud Bundy how to wrestle. He appeared in the movie, the movie called Moving. It was a Richard Pryor comedy. He was a mover and named Gorgo, which I was like, okay. I thought that was an odd choice of name. I'm like, I know Gorgo from somewhere else, but that's, being a Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan. He also appeared on Weird Science and Boy Meets World. And I remember, I've heard a lot of people talk about him and, the kind of person he was. He was a really nice guy. He was a really good-hearted person and had a lot of friends in the wrestling community. And that's always a sad thing when someone, leaves us. And, I know I was sad to hear that he passed away. I'm pretty sure we saw him at a couple of independent shows, my husband and I. So, to his family and friends that, knew him well, my deepest condolences. I would also like to send out condolences to someone I've never actually seen wrestle yet, but boy, do I want to. Unfortunately, last week it was announced that Luke Perry, the actor well known for his work on Beverly Hills 90210 and known for being in the original film Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yes, before there was Buffy and Angel and before there was Buffy and Spike, there was Luke Perry's character, I think his name was Pike, and Buffy back in the original movie. Luke's son, Jack, who is a wrestler named Jungle Boy, that's the name he goes by. I'd like to send out my condolences to Jack and also to Luke's daughter, Sophie. Luke suffered a stroke and unfortunately passed away on March 4th. As I said, I'd like to offer my deepest condolences to Jack and to Sophie and to Luke's family and friends. He was a great actor and a terrific voice actor too. I've heard nothing but amazing things about Jack. I've seen a lot of pictures of him and, I think he's got a great look to him. I know he's working with AEW and, I hope that he's able to, I hope he has enough, time to mourn and be with his family and stuff like that. And I hope he can come back from this. And I know that the fans will be there and be supportive of him. So to the families of all of these people, I would like to offer my deepest condolences. And I hope that they've gone on to a better plane of existence. So, that is going to wrap things up this week for my show. I hope you will like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, queries, complaints, anything like that, you can send them my way, platinumroselle@yahoo.com. If you would like to listen to the other shows that I am part of, you can listen to Subject Cinema, Front Row 5 and 10, Platinum Rose's Garden, and my Patreon show, Kaiju Corner, which is a fun little show that I have for $5. You can join our Patreon and give it a listen. I hope you'll enjoy it. My husband TC has some solo projects that he is working on himself, and he does some great work, including Catastrophe Vortex, which is his disaster movie podcast. He also has a couple of smaller shows, 3 Minute Weekend and Tuesday Digidex, which are shows that are telling you when movies are coming out to the theater, to on demand, to Redbox, so you can know where to spend your money. And we have other members of our little family, including the Lions, Eric and Valerie over at Cavebabble.com, and Anthony Lamberti on Aunt V's Nerd Grotto on YouTube. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, I would be happy if you did so. I am PlatinumRoseL at Twitter.com. And that is going to wrap things up here for another week on Ring Around the Rosie. I hope you guys enjoyed my show, and I hope you will come back next week when I have a review of WWE Fastlane. This is Platinum Rose Lady, aka Kim Brown, signing off for another week. See you around.
You have been listening to Ring Around the Rosie with Kim Brown, a production of PNR Networks. Keep in touch with all things about the show at http://ringaroundtherosie.net. Ring Around the Rosie intro performed by Eric Lyon. Ring Around the Rosie theme by Digital Juice. Join Kim for a new Ring Around the Rosie every Wednesday. Ring Around the Rosie is copyright 2018 PNR Networks, Boston, Massachusetts, USA.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.